You know what's crazy? Most people spend $8, $10, sometimes $12 a pound on protein, chicken, fish, eggs, and they never once think about growing it themselves. Not a garden bed, not a greenhouse, just a bucket. Sitting on your patio. What I'm about to show you today isn't some exotic farming system. It's simple, it's cheap, and some of these things literally double in size every 48 hours. We're covering 8 protein sources you can grow in a container, and number 5 is going to genuinely surprise you. And that bonus tip at the end, that one alone could cut your grocery bill in half. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Arslan, and this is the most budget-friendly gardening channel on YouTube. We don't do fancy raised beds or expensive setups. We do real results with real budgets. Now, I've been experimenting with container growing for years, and this topic, growing your own protein, is one I keep coming back to because the numbers are just wild. We're talking about protein sources that cost almost nothing to start, take up almost no space, and produce food or feed continuously. Some of these you eat directly, some you grow to feed your chickens, your fish, your garden. All of them are worth knowing. Before we get into it, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button right now. Duckweed, the protein that grows itself. Number 1, and honestly the one that started this whole obsession for me, duckweed. Here's the deal. Duckweed is a tiny aquatic plant, each piece about the size of a match head, and it doubles its mass every 24 to 48 hours under good conditions. It's one of the fastest growing plants on the planet, and it's about 35 to 45 kg protein by dry weight. That's higher than soybeans. You grow it in a simple container. A 5-gallon bucket, a plastic storage tote, even an old kiddie pool works great. Fill it with water, add a tiny amount of liquid fertilizer or just some aged compost water, place it in full sun, and drop in your starter culture. You can buy a duckweed starter online for about $5 to $8, or sometimes get it free from a local pond owner. Here's what most people don't realize. You don't eat this yourself. Well, technically you can, and it's used in some Southeast Asian cuisines, but the real value is as feed. If you keep backyard chickens, ducks, or fish, duckweed can replace a significant portion of their commercial feed. At roughly $25 to $30 for a 50-pound bag of layer feed, a thriving duckweed tote can save you $15 to $20 a month easily. Bonus tip, keep 2 containers going and harvest from one while the other recovers. You'll have a continuous supply without ever running low. Black Soldier Fly Larvae, the protein machine. Now, if duckweed surprised you, wait until you hear about Black Soldier Fly Larvae. This one sounds almost mythical, but I promise you it's real, it's legal everywhere, and it's one of the most efficient protein systems you can run in a 5-gallon bucket. Black Soldier Fly Larvae, or BSFL if you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, are about 40 APOE protein and 30 of fat. Your chickens will go absolutely insane for them. Here's the kicker. You don't feed the larvae. The larvae feed themselves. You give them your kitchen scraps, vegetable peels, coffee grounds, bread crusts, even meat scraps, and they convert that waste into high-quality protein. A small bin of about 1,000 larvae can process roughly a pound of kitchen waste per day. You can start a colony for under $20. Buy a small starter batch of eggs or young larvae online, set them up in a ventilated 5-gallon bucket with some moist cardboard bedding, and begin adding food scraps. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you're harvesting larvae daily. A mature colony produces roughly half a pound of larvae per day from a single bin. At $10 to $15 per pound for dried BSFL sold commercially, that's real value, and you're producing it from waste you'd otherwise throw away. Bonus tip, add a ramp inside the bin that leads to a collection bucket. Once the larvae are fat and ready to pupate, they self-harvest by crawling up and out. Zero effort. Mealworms, the patient producer. At number 3, we have mealworms, and these are the ones for people who love a slow, satisfying system. Mealworms are the larvae of the darkling beetle, and they're about 20 ft protein by live weight, jumping to around 50 IE when dried. Every backyard chicken keeper knows about mealworms. They're sold at pet stores for $6 to $10 for a small bag. But here's what most people don't realize. You can grow them yourself for almost nothing and never buy them again. All you need is a set of 3 stacking plastic bins, some wheat bran from the grocery store, usually $2 to $3 a pound, and a starter pack of 1,000 mealworms, which runs about $10 online. The setup takes about 10 minutes. You rotate the bins as the mealworms grow, the beetles breed, and the cycle continues indefinitely. It takes about 3 months to get your first full harvest, but once the colony is cycling, you're pulling mealworms weekly. A well-maintained colony in 3 bins produces roughly 1 to 2 cups of mealworms per week, enough to meaningfully supplement your flock's diet without ever spending another dollar on treats. Bonus tip, toss in slices of potato or carrot for moisture. The mealworms eat it, and you never need a water dish that could drown them. Azolla, the ancient fertilizer and feed. Number 4 is one that most Western gardeners have never heard of, even though farmers in Asia have been using it for over 1,000 years. It's called Azolla, and it might be the most underrated plant on this list. Azolla is a floating fern, similar to duckweed in that it grows on water, but it has a superpower. It fixes nitrogen from the air, meaning it fertilizes itself in your garden at the same time. Protein content runs between 25 and 30%, and it doubles in mass every 3 to 5 days. You grow it just like duckweed, a tote, a bucket, a small pond. It prefers slightly cooler temperatures than duckweed, making it perfect for spring and fall growing. A small 10-gallon tote in partial shade will produce a continuous harvest within 2 weeks of starting. The dual value here is huge. You harvest the top layer, feed it fresh to chickens or fish, and then take the leftover water, now loaded with nitrogen, and use it to water your vegetable garden. It's like getting free fertilizer and free protein from the same bucket. Starter Azolla runs about $8 to $15 online. You plant it once and it produces for as long as you maintain the water. Bonus tip, Azolla and duckweed grow beautifully together in the same container. Together they create a more complete amino acid profile for your animals. Moringa, the protein tree in a pot. Number 5, and this is the one I promise would surprise you, Moringa. Moringa oleifera is a tree, and yes, you can grow it in a container. A 15 to 20-gallon pot is ideal. Here's what makes it wild. The leaves are about 27 HE protein by dry weight. They're also packed with iron, calcium, and vitamin C. In many parts of the world, Moringa is called the miracle tree, and for once, that's not an exaggeration. Here's the deal with container Moringa. It grows incredibly fast. In its first year, a container-grown Moringa can reach 6 to 8 feet. You cut it back hard, called pollarding, and it regrows even bushier. You harvest the leaves, dry them, and grind them into a powder that you add to smoothies, soups, or animal feed. At $20 to $30 per pound for organic Moringa powder at the store, growing your own is financially significant. A single mature container plant can produce 2 to 3 pounds of dried leaf powder per year. That's $40 to $90 in value from one pot. The variety to look for is PKM-1, which was bred specifically for fast leaf production and handles container growing better than the wild type. Start from seed, germination takes 1 to 2 weeks, or buy a small starter plant for $10 to $15. Bonus tip, Moringa fixes nitrogen too, so the leaves you don't use make excellent green compost to feed your other containers. Edamame, soybean, container beans with real numbers. At number 6, we're going somewhere more familiar, but with a twist most gardeners miss: edamame. Soybeans harvested young, eaten fresh. About 11 HE protein by fresh weight, jumping to 36 AY when dried and processed, and they're incredibly easy to grow in containers. A 5-gallon bucket holds 2 to 3 plants, and each plant produces 50 to 70 pods per season. That's enough for a generous side dish every week during harvest. The varieties matter here. For containers, look for Midori Giant or Envy. Both are compact, high-yielding, and mature in about 75 to 80 days. Plant in full sun, water consistently, and they don't need much fertilizer. They fix their own nitrogen, just like Azolla. Here's the kicker. Fresh edamame at the grocery store runs $3 to $5 for a 10-ounce bag. A single container of 3 plants, costing maybe $2 in seeds, will produce the equivalent of 4 to 6 of those bags over its season. That's $12 to $30 in value from a single 5-gallon bucket. That's huge for busy people. You grow it, forget about it mostly, and harvest when the pods are fat and bright green. Bonus tip, grow edamame near your tomatoes. The nitrogen they fix feeds the tomatoes. And the tomatoes provide a little afternoon shade that the beans actually appreciate in hot climates. Lentils in containers, underrated and overlooked number 7, and I want to give this one a proper moment because it gets almost zero attention in container gardening content. Lentils. Lentils are 25 HE protein by dry weight. They're cheap to grow, they take up almost no space, and they fix nitrogen into your soil just like beans. A 5-gallon container holds a surprisingly productive crop. The key with lentils is choosing dwarf or semi-dwarf varieties. Eston and Richlea are 2 you can actually find as seed. Both stay under 18 inches tall and produce well in containers. Sow them densely, about an inch apart, in well-draining potting mix in full sun. They mature in 80 to 110 days and handle cool weather better than almost anything else on this list. One 5-gallon bucket yields roughly half a pound of dried lentils. At $3 to $4 per pound at the store for organic varieties, it's not a massive financial windfall on its own, but stack 4 or 5 containers together and you've got 2 to 3 pounds of homegrown dried protein that stores for a year or more. Bonus tip: let a few pods dry completely on the plant and save those seeds for next year. You'll never buy lentil seeds again after your first season. Spirulina, the 60 protein superfood you can grow in a jar. And at number 8, we go full science experiment, in the best possible way. Spirulina. Spirulina is a blue-green algae with 60 to 70 protein by dry weight. It's the highest protein density of anything on this list, and anything in the grocery store for that matter. A jar of spirulina powder at the health food store costs $30 to $40 for 200 grams. And yes, you can grow it at home. Now, I want to be honest with you here. Spirulina has the steepest learning curve on this list. It needs warm temperatures, around 85 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, good light, and a specific growing solution called Zarruc's medium, which you mix from basic mineral salts. But once you get the system dialed in, it produces fast. A 5-gallon container of spirulina culture can yield 3 to 5 grams of dried spirulina per day. That doesn't sound like much until you do the math. At $150 to $200 per pound of dried spirulina, 3 to 5 grams per day works out to roughly $1 to $1.50 per day in value, or $30 to roughly 1 to 45-gallon container sitting on a sunny shelf. Starter spirulina cultures run $15 to $25 online. The mineral salts cost about $10 and last months. Bonus tip: if you're growing spirulina near a fish tank or duckweed tote, use the CO2 and warmth from that system to accelerate your spirulina growth. They complement each other beautifully. So, there you have it. 8 protein sources you can grow in a bucket, a tote, or a jar, starting for less than $20 each. From duckweed that doubles every 48 hours to spirulina that produces a superfood worth $150 a pound. None of these require a big garden. None require a lot of time. They just require you to start. Now I want to hear from you. Which one are you setting up first? Drop it in the comments below. My money's on either duckweed or BSFL because the self-harvest factor is just unbeatable. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. And I'll see you in the next one.